of the show kind of had their, okay, here's where everything is right now. And there's going to be a reveal. Right now, you guys moved up to 7. Do you, Kim says you don't, as a program, pay attention to that. It's hard for me to imagine, but if you're focused on yourself, you're focused on yourself. How much do those reveals, seedings, rankings, whatever, come into play ever during practice or pregame?
Never. I think we just don't talk about it. And here's why. And I don't say that to offend anyone, but we've won a national championship as a 1 seed, a 2 seed, and a 3 seed. And we just know that what happens in March has nothing to do with these reveals or the rankings. Obviously it was very important for you to be in the top 16 when you're able to host, and that's not even going to be the case this year. We never talk about rankings. Well, there's just no need of trying to figure that stuff out, because we just look forward to get finishing conference on a positive note, heading into the conference tournament, and then get to the tournament to be playing our best basketball.
Do you feel like the way you progressed the last 2.5 weeks, because you're in that groove, that rhythm, that practice, that you guys can get out there and practice, and the way you're playing, do you feel like that you're much more of a Final Four team now than you were 3 weeks ago?
Sure do. Yes, absolutely. And I think when you're trying to mix in players that have not been through this before, I think these times are very, very important together on the practice court. And as we go through the conference season, you just mentioned a while ago about Nelissa Smith and Queen. Now they're going through as the lead players, as the major players. And in the past, they've been support players. And then you got Dejanay Carrington that's coming in, trying to mix in. You got Pickell. Then you got, the one that's really having a great senior year is Moon Urson. She's so accustomed to coming off the bench, and now she's playing those major minutes, and she's even had some games where she's played 40. And I think the more and more time we can get together on the floor in practice and on the floor in actual games, I think we're just going to get better each time.
Bill Brock, assistant head coach, Baylor women's basketball. They beat Texas last night. There was something that in number 7 in the country right now in the AP, there was something that may get overlooked. Kim says things, and of course there's certain things she says that people want to jump into, and she's kind of polarizing. But last night, Vic Schaefer said that she offered the practice facility to UT, who stayed the night. They play at TCU, I think, tomorrow or whenever it is. But she offered the practice facility. Now, some people would say, well, there's no way, it's Texas or whatever. I'm not so sure she does that with some other previous coaches. But what was that like, in knowing that she offered Vic Schaefer and UT the opportunity to come on campus and practice to help them out?
I think it's just something that Kim did as a favor, goodness of her heart. Hopeful that if we were ever in that situation, that school would offer us the same opportunity. Coach Schaefer is doing a great job down there. We've known him for years. We've known him in different settings. Kim known him when she was at Louisiana Tech forever. I knew him when I was in junior college, and he recruited some of my players. I mean, Vic's doing a great job with that program, and is going to. So I think that's just something you do to be cordial, and something you do to be professional. And it's not like Baylor against UT. These are extenuating circumstances with this weather, and ever what that circumstance might be, I hope that if we could help someone in a situation, that we would put those feelings to the side and help that person or that school or that organization. But for her to do that was no surprise to me at all. I mean, I think if we have had to do some things like, they couldn't find a hotel, we might have gone to some other extremes. We didn't want those people traveling on the road. And you just hope that those kind of things, the coaching fraternity is a pretty strong fraternity. And I just hope that that people would do that for us if we ever had that situation arise.
Jerome Tang has had to take over a couple of times when Scott was out. You, of course, have done that when Kim was out. Do you guys talk much, you and Jerome, at all about having to all of a sudden you've been it, but to be the one running the ship and sometimes short notice?
Not in any great detail. Sometimes we'll kid each other, just in passing and whatever. And, but no, not real. We've been around, Jerome's been around Scott a long time. I've been around Kim a long time. Sometimes those things just happen and we just try to step in and pinch it and do the best we can.
Hey, Bill, thanks for your time. We appreciate you jumping on with us. You guys have a little gap right now in that conference with Oklahoma beating West Virginia. All of a sudden, the Sooners and Jerry Cole's team's kind of causing some troubles for people.
Yeah, they had. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. The women won up there at West Virginia by 1 point, and the men won in double overtime that same day.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Bill, thanks for your time. Congratulations on maneuvering through what you have and also into the future, and stay healthy.
Thanks, Buck. See you later.
Bill Brock. Bill Brock is the assistant head coach under Kim Mulkey. Appreciate his time. Thanks to Kyle Robarts for making that happen as well. Coming up at 3:30, we'll have Hall of Fame writer Rick Gosselin. 5 o'clock, we'll hear from Babe Laufenberg on so many things we've discussed about the quarterbacks and, how it's all going to play out. Some interesting, and I even asked him straight up, Babe, should quarterbacks have any kind of input on personnel decisions? And he said, listen, when I was in Washington, even though he was not Jay Schrader, Doug Williams, Mark Rippon, whatever, whenever he was around some of those, he said, Bobby Beathard made the general manager personnel decisions, and Joe Gibbs' job was to coach the players. And there was a differential between the two. And so he wasn't so sure that the quarterback should get much of an input. Now, if there's a working out with a player, something like that, maybe so. We'll have that today at 5 o'clock as well. And Paul, there was college football over the weekend. College football in February, and perfect because of the crazy weather. Well, it was a hell of a game. Todd Whitman, the head coach at Tarleton State, will join us today at 4 o'clock. They've got some Central Texas players on that team. They didn't win, but they have started their journey in Division I with the FCS Tarleton State up in Stephenville. They put in $30 million renovations with a stadium and a lot of work as they try to take that to the next level. When we come back, Hall of Fame writer Rick Gosselin, a couple of other notes as well. And we'll touch in on a couple of things NFL. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Craig Smoak out today because of power. And we will take you until 6 o'clock, God willing, as far as the power wherever we are. Thank you for listening. The text line's open, 254-339-1122. If you'd like to text us, we'd love to hear from you. This is SicEm365 Radio.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Are you ready to say big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, say big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
Well, yeah, we are, and we're trying to bring you what we can. And Rick Gosselin, Hall of Fame writer, voter, will join us here momentarily. And I wanted to get Rick on because last week, of course, the news are back during the Super Bowl weekend that Drew Pearson is going to finally be in the Hall of Fame. So who's next? Chuck Howley's name. We've heard the names of what Randy White told us and Charles Haley and who he mentioned as well. So we'll have Rick Gosselin on and kind of go behind the scenes a little bit on how they have to fight, scratch, and claw sometimes for some of these players who obviously were great with not just the Cowboys, but elsewhere. Gus Malzahn is the new head football coach at UCF at Central Florida, former Auburn coach. Remember, they played against each other, what was it, just 4 years ago in the bowl game, right? Got him pretty good. Malzahn was good at Auburn. He was just never good enough because the problem is that right next door, your neighbor is Alabama. Even though he got Alabama, I think a couple of different times. Did he not when he was at Auburn? Yeah, sure he did. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
well, he's now at UCF, replaces Josh Heupel, and Heupel now, of course, is at Tennessee. So Malzahn goes from the SEC to Central Florida, and or UCF. Fans get mad when you just call him that. And then now, of course, Heupel goes from UCF to the SEC. And Malzahn, he's just 55. He had a nice run, national championship game his first year in 13, and went to the SEC state national or the SEC championship game 4 years later. But then the next 3 years, 14-12 against the SEC. What have you done for me lately? It doesn't matter. I mean,
and he lost some. He had some bad losses in there. I think there's a South Carolina loss in there. I think there's a Tennessee loss in there. So he was wind up going. I mean, that's just kind of how the world works when it comes to the SEC. And he was at Auburn. He has to play Bama all the time. So, I think Gus Malzahn's a good coach. I think he's going to be. I think he'll do great at UCF. He'll do fantastic there. Of course, everybody's done well there, but now their AD is gone. So we'll see how much that, Danny White, the old AD, made a difference.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Somebody asked me if I would mention, I said Baylor remains number 2 despite not playing now for basically 2 weeks. Gonzaga won, 59 first place votes, Baylor with 5. Michigan really showed something yesterday. They were down by 12, 13 points to Wisconsin, hadn't played in 23 days. It was kind of like, how are they going to bounce back from the pause? Because Baylor's dealing with it now. They're number 3, came back to win that game. Ohio State, Illinois, who Baylor beat, is 5. Houston, 6. Virginia starting to creep up at 7. And then also among the top 10, let's see here. Oklahoma's 12th. What a nice win for them at West Virginia. Texas is now 15th. Oklahoma's 9th, excuse me. Texas is 15th. And you still have a ton of teams. Think about the Big 12 with Baylor, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas Tech, Texas. Oklahoma State's the tournament team if they get to play. They get to play. And then Kansas will get in somehow. They won't be too much of a seed, but they're going to get in no matter what. So other than Iowa State, other than Kansas State and TCU, everybody else is going to be, you would think, a tournament team. Am I missing somebody there?
No, yeah, I think, Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State out. Everybody else is going to make it, right?
Yeah, everybody else is going to make it. Most of them are among the top 15 teams in the country. So that's what's going on with men's basketball. And Baylor, the word and feeling I still get is that Oklahoma State game is right now 50-50. Ashley Hodge had a note the other day that it was probably still a little bit less likely they would play, but I still am hearing that it's 50-50. There we have him, a Pro Football Hall of Fame writer, columnist, voter. Rick Gosselin joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Rick, thank you very much. I asked Rick about being on Zoom. He goes, I've kind of gotten used to this over the last 10 or 11 months. It's just kind of like having a cell phone now, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah, we've had Hall of Fame meetings on Zoom, and my guys at Talk of Fame Network, we've had conversations on Zoom. So yeah, it's old hat at this point.
So
I don't think I'd ever been in a Zoom call until the COVID thing hit.
I'd never heard of it, honestly. It's just kind of like I'd never heard of anything other than CDs, 8 tracks, and cassettes either for a long, long time, and typewriters. So
what about stereos? What about stereos?
Now that Drew Pearson is going to finally get in and is in, who's next, Rick? Who next do you guys go to battle for?
Well, I think the guy that's standing next in line is Chuck Howley. But keep in mind, we've had 4 Cowboy seniors in the last 14 years. And there are some teams that have never had a senior in the 50-year history of the committee. Chargers, Colts, Patriots. And it's not really a clearinghouse for any one team. So, I mean, every franchise, there are 26 established franchises. Everyone's got, I'd say, 3 or 4 guys they think belong in the hall. And these are competitive spots. We got 1 each year for the next 4 years. And there are a lot. I got 58 all-decade guys in the senior pool, and 54 of them have never been discussed as finalists. So it's tough. But I'd say Howley, Harvey Martin, Everson Walls, Leroy Jordan, Ralph Neely. I mean, there are a lot of deserving candidates from the Cowboys in there, but every franchise has got deserving candidates.
How much did last year's class did that clear anything up for you guys to get some of these? Not really.
I'm on a senior committee. I've been on the senior committee since 2004. I got a list of 100 names of players I think deserve to be discussed in the senior pool. And when we initially talked about the Centennial class, we were hoping to get 20 to 25 players in, and that would have eased the logjam a little bit. 10 really didn't do it.
Yeah, that's amazing because and this is not at the same level, but it is in Texas. High school football coaches, they used to do 2 coaches a year. And then all of a sudden you look up and there's like 25 or 30 that should be in the Hall of Fame, not because of people like them, because they're Hall of Fame type resumes. And we're starting to try to do the same thing. And it just seems like you could never play catch up. What can you kind of give us an idea that you, Shireen, and others go to bat for certain, obviously, candidates you believe in? How much politics are involved and how much sometimes frustration comes along with that, Rick?
Are you talking about the senior poll or the regular, the modern era?
Either one.
Well, there's a lot of politics going on with the modern era. Senior poll, there are 5 of us. There's a committee of 9, and 5 of us go to Canton every year to pick the senior poll. And most of us are older voters who have an idea what's in the senior pool, the guys from 50s, 60s, 70s that have been passed over. So there's some campaigning, specific players. I know the Bengal crowd really wants Kenny Riley to get his time to Atlanta, Tommy Nobis. There are names that pop up every year, but nothing like the modern era, where you're getting full color displays and videos of all these guys, and it's, there are 15 finalists, and you can build 15 files of the stuff you get from people that are campaigning on their behalf.
Rick, when you do have to do that, do you like the ones like Peyton Manning this year, that it's just like Peyton Manning, look him up on YouTube and that's the day?
No, that makes it easy. I think we overdo it with first ballot guys. We put in, I think it's 12 in the last 4 years. And there are 3 last 4 years, we've had 3 first ballot guys among the 5 nominees. And I've got a different definition of first ballot. First ballot to me is if you're one of the 2 or 3 greatest players ever play your position, you are a first ballot guy. If you're Jim Brown, you're Dick Butkus, you're Peyton Manning, you're Brett Favre, you're Emmitt Smith, and those are the first ballot guys. I was surprised that Jason Taylor was a first ballot guy. I was surprised that Brian Urlacher was a first ballot guy. In fact, this year I thought that both Charles Woodson and Calvin Johnson could have waited a year. Is Calvin Johnson one of the 3 best corners in the history of football? I don't think so. The best, in my mind, the most complete best corner in football history is Dick Night Train Lane. He got in on the 4th ballot. And if you want to start building a pecking order, Mike Haynes isn't out of the top 3, and he waited 3 years. Yeah, we rushed Calvin Woodson in, or Charles Woodson on the 1st ballot. Calvin Johnson, there were some questions, the shorter career. Is he Jerry Rice? Is he Lance Allworth? Is he Don Hudson? Yet we rush him in. And when we put all these first ballot guys in, you're having deserving candidates that have to wait another year, and a lot of them wind up in a senior pool. I was concerned that Alan Faneca was headed that way. I was concerned that Will Shields is headed that way. We just can't keep putting in all these first ballot guys. It's not good for the queue. We'll have more and more really good senior candidates waiting because they got passed over with all these first time guys.
Rick, it's obviously it's immortality. Drew got finally that set up with Roger and obviously Jerry, and they were able to inform him it was official, but you had a lot to do with that, Shireen, as well. Did you get a chance to talk to Drew at all since that moment was official?
Yeah, I've talked to him. I've talked to him a couple of times, as a matter of fact. Yeah, the key was, I was in the senior committee last August when we brought Drew out. And that's the key. We get 1 nomination a year. And there are a lot of great candidates that we have to discuss, but Drew's the guy that came out. And I thought once he came out, was a 1 senior nominee, he was going in. Like we voted in 12 consecutive senior candidates. The committee seems to pay homage to the work that we do and respects the work we do. I think in the last 18 years, we've rejected only 1 senior, and he was brought back and was later inducted. So if you get the senior nomination, there's a real good chance you're going. There's a 99.9% chance you're going. And so I thought last August that Drew Pearson was going to get his bust. And then I was supposed to make a presentation, but I had COVID. So I wrote the presentation and I gave it to Shireen and I asked her to read it. And she did that. I wasn't involved in the meeting. She did that and he got voted in.
Well, then she did what you wanted her to do. It's good. She's trustworthy.
Exactly. I mean, it was And I feel good about the presentation. I talked about all the first-team all-decade guys, and Drew stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, from 1930 through 2010, there have been 17 first-ballot wide receivers. Drew was the only one that did not have a bust. And not only that, he'd never been discussed. He was the only first-team all-decade guy from the 1970s not in. The Hall of Fame Selection Committee picks the all-decade teams. But for it to have credibility, you've got to take care of the guys you pick as the best of their eras. So he was unfinished business, and I'm glad that they finished that business this last month.
Do you think his emotions after last year when he fell short, how much did that come into play, you think, this time around?
Not at all. Not at all. I told him back then, don't give up hope. I mean, you're still a first ballot, first ballot. No, I was one of the 5 guys in the room that didn't. No one even brought it up. And people want to know, what about that? Is at the Philadelphia draft when he held up the 5 rings and put on quite a show. No impact. I mean, we look at the player's credentials. We don't look at him crying after last year or holding the 5 fingers during the draft. It was based on his credentials. I mean, he was the first ballot all-decade wide receiver. That was the reason that he came out.
Rick Gosselin, Pro Football Hall of Fame columnist, writer, voter, with us on SicEm365 Radio. You mentioned COVID. I know you kind of had to deal with it. We've been back and forth.
Kind of.
How are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah, January was brutal on both my wife and myself, but the worst part is over. I mean, the shortness of breath, the coughing, the fever, headaches, the joint aches. I mean, it was terrible. That was my back for about 12 days. But we're through that now. I had good care and medications, and yeah, it's now it's just fatigue. It'll take a while to get the energy back, I'm told. But yeah, we're through. The worst part is over for us. But January was brutal.
So, Rick, are you going to go to work on the draft now? I mean, do we get a classic Rick Gosselin mock draft? It's always been my favorite when you do them.
Well, we haven't had a Rick Gosselin classic mock draft since 2011. So when the Morning News made me a columnist, they said, "Don't worry about the draft. Don't worry about the NFL. Just be a columnist." So I haven't done one of those in a long time. What I've been doing on our Talk FM network site, I've been putting out the scouting reports of various players. I had Tom Brady on this week. What scouts thought of him. I did the Hall of Famers, Faneca and Woodson and Calvin Johnson and Manning. Put those out the week of the vote. Now there's 7 more coming up, so you'll see some of my draft stuff going forward, but it won't be anything current.
Rick, with what's going on with Deshaun Watson, it's already going to be one of those off seasons crazy with quarterbacks. But what's going on with Deshaun Watson are we getting to a point now where we're going to start seeing NBA type turn where players start to try to build their own team? I know Brady had some guys join him, but that was a little bit different. Are we getting to a point where the Pandora's box is about to open?
No, the NBA, you can gather 3 superstars in your starting 5 and win a title. You can't, under the salary cap of the NFL, you're not going to be able to do that. Too many moving pieces. But I do think you saw Matthew Stafford wanted out, he got out. Deshaun Watson wants out, he got out. Aaron Rodgers has made some noise. I think there's some unsettled situation with the Jets with Darnold, and then of course Goff got traded to the Lions with Goff. I think what's going on in Houston, that's a different case. I mean, they traded Hopkins last year, now they let Watt go. It looks like they're going into a full bore rebuilding mode. If I was a season ticket holder for the Texans, I wouldn't be happy. But if I'm, Nick Caserio, the GM, I don't trade him. I don't try to trade him. You can't do that to your fan base. You'll never get equal value for Deshaun Watson. He is a franchise quarterback. He's a young franchise quarterback. I think Matthew Stafford is a franchise quarterback, and he was, in his 30s. You'll never get equal value for Deshaun Watson. And there's no guarantee that if you got 3 number 1s, that you could get another quarterback as good as Deshaun Watson with one of those picks. I mean, the Detroit Lions waited 50 years between Bobby Lee and Matthew Stafford. And in the Patriots, what are they going to do? They could go 20, 25 years without finding a franchise quarterback. And those are the guys you win with. And if I'm the Texans, I'll hold on to Deshaun Watson until the very last, until I have no option. until he doesn't show up for training camp and he's making it clear he's going to retire. And then I might even wait a year then.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got 4 years left on his contract, so his leverage doesn't really start happening until he misses games. And is he really going to say no to all that money?
Well, I'm sure that's what the Texans are gambling, that he won't, that he'll show up at some point. But I don't see how you can trade him. I don't see, you can't go shopping him. I mean, you'll get great offers, but you'll never get equal value for Deshaun Watson. Those guys are they're too hard to find to just to give him up because he wants to go.
Yeah. Do you feel like he might have hurt his own chance to get traded because he's been so negative? Or he hadn't said much.
He's trying to force a trade. He's trying to force a trade.
Yeah.
Well, I think he hurt his chances. No, I think the Texans look at him as he's a franchise quarterback. We're not going to give him away. And again, I don't know what they can get that will make it worth their while to trade him.
How much
Patrick Mahomes, maybe.
Huh?
Patrick Mahomes, maybe.
Yeah. That's how much do you feel like, and in the history of when you've covered the game, Rick Gosselin, Hall of Fame voter and writer with us, SicEm365 Radio, are quarterbacks given a chance to have input with this personnel decisions? I've seen that kind of flare up. I know it's happened, Rodgers. Maybe it's going on with, who knows, Russell Wilson. How often is information shared between a GM, a head coach, and a quarterback on personnel decisions?
Oh, I remember when the Cowboys drafted David LaFleur. That was with Troy Aikman's blessing. I mean, when you draft in weapons, I think you want to run it past your quarterback. But by and large, that's not the way to run a franchise. That's not. You don't want your players running the franchise. You hire a GM, you hire a personnel director, you hire scouts. Let them do their work. Let them do their jobs. They know what a player looks like. They know what the franchise is looking at. I've always said the more coaches that get involved in a draft, the more screwed up the draft gets. I think it'd be even worse if you start giving players all this input. They don't do this professionally. They don't talk to the equipment managers, the trainers, the school counselors that scouts do. So I think that's a bad precedent. Start asking the players who they want.
Paul, anything else?
Nope.
Rick, thank you, man. Good luck. Stay safe and continue to get a little bit better every day. You and your wife. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
That's Rick Gosselin, Hall of Fame voter, writer, columnist, everything with us on SicEm365 Radio. We're back in a moment at 4 o'clock today. Todd Whitman, the head football coach at Tarleton State. They played McNeese State in their first ever game as an FCS Division I program. They have New Mexico State this weekend. We'll hear from him. Also, many more segments to bring your way. Jason King, Seth Payne of the Texans, who now works for Talk Radio in Houston. A little bit more on Deshaun Watson and the Texans. He'll join us at 4:30. And then Babe Laufenberg at 5. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corp. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
All right, we're back to SicEm365 Radio. Paul, Catalina, David Smoak on a very unique time. During a unique time, it's rather interesting. You have some of these games in college basketball. Of course, we're used now to games being postponed, rescheduled. The Big 12 put out a handful of those today, from Baylor to Oklahoma to Texas to TCU to Texas Tech, everybody. And now we're dealing with this weather. And I'm someone who's lived in areas where it has been cold, where it has snowed, where it snowed and it stays in the ground for multiple days. Virginia, or even when I lived 4 years in Japan. But this is interesting. I did try to get out earlier today just for a little bit, and I was fine because of the car that I drive, the Ford Explorer that I got at Allen Samuels. But I took a little bit of a peek, Paul, over the top of the ridge of that big drop in front of our condo, and there were like 5 cars that looked like Pac-Man. It's just like everywhere. I'm not saying those who are smart, who drive smart, still can't have things that happen. But when it snowed last night and it's so packed, it should be, I think it should be more easy or easier to manage.
Yeah, it is a little bit better. I tried to get out yesterday and I got out of my neighborhood to turn right to HEB. And then it was just so bad. I was like, it's not worth it to get, the 2 things I kind of want to make it through the next couple days, this and that. I can do without just fine. And then today, the snow's so bad, and I have, like, on my car, I've just got the slip differential, so I don't have any 4-wheel drive or anything. I got snuck in the snow in my driveway. Like, I couldn't have gotten out of my own driveway. It was so thick and packed in. So my brother-in-law, because we haven't had power at my house since 4 o'clock this morning. I'm told it came back on for a minute and then went back off again. So they're working on it. So hopefully that gets fixed here in the next couple of hours. But my brother-in-law came. He's got a big truck with snow tires that he drives up in the mountains in Colorado. So he came and brought us to my mom's house, which is why you see this lovely china cabinet behind me as my backdrop. Well, I don't have a china cabinet. I don't have china. I have plates. That's what I have at my house.
That age generation all had china cabinets.
Yeah,
That was part of a major part of the furniture. Yeah.
There's decorative spoons back here. You can, I mean, our listeners can't see it, but you can see it. But yeah,
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Craig has also had no power since about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, so he couldn't even have enough power really to even come in and dial the show by even cell phone to be a part of it. So we have guests lined up throughout the show. Coming up at 4, Todd Whitman, Tarleton State. At 4:30, Seth Payne. He works for Houston Talk Radio, also played in the NFL. A little bit more from his opinion on the Texans and what's going on with them. But it is so different. It's so neat. I enjoy all 4 seasons. Yes, I've lived in Texas since 1976 and lived there for a year and a half before that. But I do enjoy the spring, the summer, the fall, and then the winter. And maybe not like, I wouldn't want to do this like a long term, but it's okay. It kills the bugs.
I would think that if we were more prepared for it, you know, we could deal with it. The problem is that all the things that you need to get through a normal day, that the Chicago, Wisconsin, New York City, all that they have, we don't have any. Like, we don't have snow plows here. Why would we have them? They would sit in a garage for a decade until somebody had to dust them off and use them. When this stuff happens, we just have to deal with it. The thing I think that stresses me out is that, like, you kind of find out like where our infrastructure is and like where we've cut corners when, like, it can be hot all summer long in Texas, 100 degrees, and people run their air conditioners. It's cold for a day, and all these people lose power. Like, why are we not ready for that? Like, why aren't we not ready for all this? It's 2021. Like, we shouldn't be having these technological problems anymore.
Well, you just said it doesn't happen, but like once every 25 years. But does it cost, or is there more power used to have heaters on in homes, condos, apartments, elsewhere, buildings, than it does to have the air conditioner running in Texas, which is almost in 100% of homes, unless they don't have air conditioning?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, that's a good question. I don't know. I know that we have we've had a bunch of, here's the other thing about technology. Wind turbines are all great and everything, and I'm all for wind power, but, when they freeze in West Texas, you got to think about, what did you not put on the, you spent $1 million on a big fan that's going to give you electricity. You'd think you'd put some more safeguards on it.
I need to go out to Mart, because out towards Mart, as you know, there are what appear to be hundreds of those wind turbines. I mean, hundreds of them. To me, they scare me. It always seemed like when you drive into the southern part of Oklahoma and you get into that area, that you get over a couple of hills, you start to see them. It reminds me of some sort of a sci-fi movie, that these are actually Martians coming in from like down. And it just reminds me of, I don't forgot the name of that movie, where they start coming in from everywhere and they're big, tall, look like a bunch of praying mantis. And so, but Mart's got I talked to Kevin Hoffman about it. They've got hundreds of them, I think, out there. And there's even more to come. So it's been unique. If you want to text us, what is the one most unique thing you've dealt with, other than the obvious of a power outage, rolling outages, whatever? What is the one unique thing you've dealt with? I hope, to me, being without power is one thing. You could still hopefully be able to bundle up, even though it's cold and it was -3 wind chill at one point. Then we got a burst of energy. It was 0. The pipes bursting is the thing that can be a disaster. You can go without heat, but when you start getting to the point where the pipes get boom and pop, that's where you can actually, like, you could ruin the floor of wherever you live, or just get everywhere. I hope that hadn't happened to too many people.
I've got my faucets dripping right now in the house, and I've on the outside, my good friend Harlan Williams gave me some apparatus to put on my faucets outside, so I'm good to go. But it is, look, when you wake up in the morning, I say wake up in the morning, I've been pretty much awake since 1:30 this morning, since when the power first went off, when the rolling blackout started. When you eventually, the sun comes up and it's 52 degrees in your house and there's nothing you can really do about it. And you know that, man, if I stay here all day, there's no way this is going to get better when the outside.
But if it's 62 when you wake up, that's what you wish it was 62 in the summer. So what's the difference? Why 62 in the winter?
Here's the difference. When I open the door to let my dog out and it gets hot in the house, I want it to get cold. The problem is when I open the door up and it gets cold, it doesn't get warmer. So it just keeps dropping. So 52 was okay to deal with. You just kind of get the shivers, but it's the thought of there's a point because it's, it was 7 degrees at that point. I said, it's 7 degrees outside. My house is going to reach a point where it's not going to be tolerable to be in here anymore. And, it's going to be in the 40s in this house. 52, I thought I could sit if I was outside and it was 52 degrees wearing a light jacket, I'd be fine. I'd like that. I'd enjoy that. But if I was
windy, it's not as and that's what the thing we've dealt with the last couple of days. It was windy.
So, but if I was outside and it was 46 degrees, which I, based on the math, was probably be about right now from when I left. So it was 46 degrees. I wouldn't stand outside in 46 degrees for 8-9 hours just chilling. I wouldn't do that.
It is right now 19 degrees. Mm-hmm. It feels like it is 5. But I have a picture that I took with my camera on my phone. It's almost a glacier-like structure that is on one of the bushes, and it's frozen. It's it's got the needles coming down from where it froze. That's my thermometer. When that starts to drip, I know we're getting better. It's been sunny now for hours, and I've started to see a couple of places where it's starting to drip a little bit, which that doesn't mean anything because later on the night it's going to freeze again. So got to be careful with that. All right. Coming up in the 4:00 hour. It's hard to imagine, but there's college football going on. Remember where all the teams that some of them have pushed it back, some of the Southland Conference teams, some other not Division I Power 5 schools, even some those schools did too. And I had forgotten about it. I had completely forgotten about it. Until all of a sudden I saw a note that Tarleton State, who's going Division I, was playing a game against McNeese State. They played. It went overtime. They were at home. It was in the 20s. It wasn't the result they wanted. But what about that? Pretty cool. Something else to maybe keep you occupied. And we'll come back with Tarleton State head football coach Todd Whitman on playing during February, not playing during the fall, and Tarleton State and Stephenville going Division I and that journey. That's next on SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
She said she has concussion symptoms. She didn't say she had a concussion. So I'm not going to say she has a concussion because when I asked her a minute ago, she said, oh, no, ma'am, I have concussion symptoms. So...
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Tarleton State head football coach Todd Whitman on SicEm365 Radio. First of all, opened up the first FCS Division I game on Saturday against McNeese State. We'll get to that and all the crazy of what you've just, been through and the weather. But how you been and how unique has it been to play football in February?
I've been good. Been really good. We've got a good program over here, and I'm blessed to be the head coach here at Tarleton, and very thankful. And to play football in February has been different and takes some getting used to. I'm hoping we only do this one time and we can get back to normal in the fall, but it is what it is. And we took the fall of 2020 off, and so we're making that up now, and our football team, our players are excited to have the opportunity. And but it is coming back from the Christmas holidays. We reported on I think January the 2nd or 3rd, and got going right away. Obviously the weather is much different. So there's nothing that's the same. It's and every day during these times something new shows up. So you've got to be ready to adjust and to kind of adapt and go and hit it on the move. And so for the most part, I think our guys, our staff have done a good job of that.
Yeah, they have to be resilient. Kids today, no matter what generation, we always say, oh, this generation, but whether it was yours or mine or yours and mine, about the same one. Now, what do you think is more unique, playing now or not playing during football season, during the fall?
They were both extremely unique. I think not playing in the fall was about the oddest thing I've ever been around, being a football coach. So the fact that we're playing football now makes it a little more normal, but still not completely normal, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, and then especially, on Saturdays, having the opportunity to see a lot of other programs, the FBS teams out playing. And so that was really crazy. But you just got to keep doing your best and keep your head down and keep working, and hopefully we'll get through this COVID and get this world back to normal as soon as we can.
I know Saturday didn't end the way you wanted, but it was like a ribbon cutting, so to speak. Tarleton's, you've been on a great run there, and the commitment to do everything at the Division I level is obviously there with what they committed to you, but the facilities, I've been very impressed by that. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but obviously a back and forth game, down 10-0, up 24-10, and I know the fourth quarter got away from you at the end. Overall, just glad to get a game in, even though the result wasn't what you wanted?
There's no question. I was extremely proud of our team. We've got to play smarter. We've got to do a better job of finishing the game out, and we've done a good job of that over the years. And you got to give McNeese a lot of credit. They really battled and fought, and I thought their quarterback really had a great performance down the stretch. So hats off to those guys. But we played pretty well, and really, in our opinion, we should have hung in there and played better and won the game there late. But it was good to get out, and that is what we signed up for here is to go be an FCS football program, and so we were very thankful that McNeese came over, and then we were thankful for the opportunity to play. And for really about 3.5 quarters, we played fairly soundly. Now we had 2 turnovers and they had 0. That was, I thought, one of the really big differences. Late down the stretch, we had a real critical roughing the passer thing and on a play where we made an interception, and we probably could have ended the game right there had we not had that penalty. And then they executed an onside kick, to their credit. And so a couple of things down the stretch that really made the difference, I think. But one play never makes the difference in a whole game, and that was the case the other night. And at the end of it all, McNeese made plays when they needed to, and they came out of there with the win. But I thought we're making progress. We had some young guys really step up and play well, and I'm proud of my guys.
Todd, it's amazing to me what Tarleton is doing, and you've experienced this with Tarleton State before when you were there the first time. You've been in a lot of different places, had great success at Sam Houston State as well. What is it like right now watching something almost as a child being born, even though football at Tarleton has been going on for decades and almost a century?
Well, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever been a part of. When we got back here 5 years ago, the program was down, and to the credit of our staff and our players and our administration, we've always had great university support and great community support. Stephenville's a football community, and so it's just been really one of the greatest things for me in my career to get to be a part of this program. And just the fact that they would have me back, I feel very blessed, and I really cherish this opportunity that they've given me. And so we've been very good and had a lot of really good players through here. And now this opportunity, as we rebuilt our stadium, we've completely gutted all of our football facilities and spent over $30 million in the last 3 years making improvements. And we are just real serious about this business of being an FCS program, and then I think on down the road eventually being an FBS program. So to be a part of the change and the growth, and to have a small part of it is just incredible.
And it has to be not just a financial commitment, it also has to be a commitment because of location. And do you feel like because you're in Texas, and maybe they could do this in Alabama, or they could do this in Pennsylvania or Ohio or wherever, but because of the talent, the depth of talent in Texas, that it makes it a little bit easier to get to that next level? Plus, it does appear, Todd, as if you have recruited a national roster as well. You got guys from everywhere.
No, there's no question, and that's my belief, is that we've got to get out. We've got to, number one, we're going to do a good job of recruiting the state of Texas, and that's our initial focus. But I also think I've got to get some guys on some airplanes and get them out across the country, and we've got to turn as many stones as we can. I don't think the conventional recruiting trail will get it done for us. Now, just like we had at Sam Houston, we had a really good location in terms of Huntsville being north of Houston, right on the interstate, and Stephenville just being west of the Metroplex, and our location. There are some similarities there, but we're gonna always recruit the state of Texas first, and then, right after that, we think it's important to get out and find some guys in other parts of the country. And I've been doing this a long time. This is my 32nd year, and I know for a fact that the state of Texas is heavily recruited. There's about 22 of us now in the state that are some form of Division I that are offering football scholarships. And I bet there's another 75 to 90 Division I schools that come and visit our state. And at times it feels like we're stepping all over each other. And so we're going to stay in there and battle everybody and keep getting some good Texas kids, but we're also going to go try and find some pockets in some different areas that may be under-recruited that we think we can go and make some hay recruiting. So that's our, in a nutshell, kind of our recruiting philosophy.
Are you of the belief, Todd Whitman, head football coach at Tarleton State, with us on SicEm365 Radio, are you of the belief you make the most progress between the first game and the second game, or is that always true?
No, I think that's very true. I don't think anything's for sure or always, but I do agree with that. Typically, you'll make you'll make the most progress from week 1 to week 2, and we're going to get that hands team cleaned up that did not quite gather in that onside kick. We made 9 penalties. We need to cut that about in half. We turned the ball over twice. Really good football teams can't turn the ball over like that. McNeese did not turn it over, and so we know. And after the first game, from a personnel standpoint, you just get some real direction as to kind of what you need to do as a football team, and you just learn so much about some new guys, and so just so many things are learned in week 1, and then you're able to make adjustments and get better on week 2.
All right. Again, I saw your roster, not only Texas, but also around the country, but in the central Texas area, Waco, Temple, Killeen, Salado, Teague, Belton. You got yourself, and Guzman, your kicker, the kid from Temple, kicked 3 field goals. I know he missed a 50-yarder, but seemed like he had a pretty nice game as well. In the end, and I know you got to go, you turn around and now play New Mexico State, and we mentioned the first to second game. What is the schedule with the weather the way it is? You got to play the game, but a lot of places, of course, are shut down. Football, you pretty much play no matter what.
That's exactly right. We're trying to figure out how we're going to practice. We're probably not going to be able to get out today. Obviously, it's really bad, but we're gonna find a way to get it done. We're going to show up, and this will be our very first FBS opponent in the history of our program this week. So we are beyond excited about that. And as far as the Central Texas area, that as long as I've been associated at Tarleton, Waco, Temple, and Killeen, and Belton, and all that's been our very best recruiting area.
Todd Whitman, head football coach at Tarleton State. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. I think SicEm365 Radio, Paul, Catalina, David Smoak. Craig is out because of power issues that a lot of people are dealing with. There's a really horrific story coming out of where I just was and where Paul was in Hillsborough County in Tampa. Former NFL receiver, played with the Chargers and Buccaneers. Vincent Jackson was found dead. He's 38 years old in a Homewood Suites hotel in Brandon, Florida. No apparent signs of trauma. The cause of death not known. Checked into the hotel back on January the 11th. Had been in that room since that date. His family reported Jackson was missing on Wednesday. The formal report filed Thursday. He was found on Friday at the Homewood Suites in Tampa, Florida. Unmute.
Yeah, Smokey, I just drove past that hotel when we were there. I know exactly where it is, and Vincent Jackson's a tragic story, and what it sounds like is, I mean, whatever it is isn't good, but what it sounds like is really bad, and being in a hotel room straight through for a month is never a good thing. It's never a good thing.
No, that's awful, and he's been missing for quite some time, and who knows, of course, time of death and all that, but the bottom line is he was 38 years old, and you see a lot of NFL players, those involved in personnel, those who cover the NFL, and yet again, it might have been somebody that we see that just was struggling. We don't know that. I don't want to guess on that, but you never know. Make a call. Talk to somebody who you haven't in quite some time. Yesterday evening, the Baylor men's tennis team on the verge of a national indoor championship, beaten by North Carolina. What a great run it was to get to that point up in Champaign, Illinois. North Carolina just overwhelmed them and beat the Baylor 4-1. But a great run, and Michael Goodson, his first real, I guess you could say, official duty as a head coach, takes him to the championship round as well. I want to get back to Vincent Jackson because I had this Friday, and we didn't get to it for some reason. I shared this. I thought I shared this with multiple people. Paul, I'm not sure if you got this or not, but I shared it, I know, with Craig. San Francisco Giants outfitter Drew Robinson's remarkable second act.
Oh, yeah.
He was with the Rangers and was a very talented player coming out of high school. Looked like he was going to stick with the Rangers. And he tried to kill himself. And I'm not going to go through the whole story because he's now with, I think, San Francisco. But he attempted suicide. He shot himself in the face, in the jaw, or the head, and somehow survived. Lost his right eye, so he's blind in his right eye. But it's an hour documentary. Now, a lot of people don't have time. Well, if you want to hear a story about how someone didn't want you yet, Drew Robinson's documentary, it's an hour long, is truly mind-boggling. From the rise to the fall, to COVID, to loneliness, to depression, to breaking up with his fiancée, all the above. Talented as heck. He should be dead, and now he's going to try to make a comeback in the minor leagues with the San Francisco Giants.
Good for him, and it's going to be hard to do it without a right eye. But you know what? Good. I'm rooting for him all the way. That's, I was talking to somebody at the Super Bowl and said, we're going to have, how many deaths because of COVID, and we might even have, about half that many because of suicide, not because of, but kind of because of COVID. I mean, because so many people are, this is affecting their mental health so badly. And Drew Robinson, that's if you want to know about a message, like when you shoot yourself in the face and then you wake up in the hospital and you're like, you didn't do it. I mean, that's a message from above that you've got something to do.
Well, there's also a couple of things. We'll hear from Seth Payne, the former NFL defensive tackle, but also works for 610 in Houston with John McClain's station up down there, about many things Texans in the NFL. He lost his right eye. I mean, you can see there's a scar there, and they were able to find another eye like a false eye to put in there to make it look normal, and it looks unbelievably like the real one. But he didn't. I mean, he was overnight bleeding to death, then wakes up, as you said, and calls 911. And he actually contemplated, okay, the first time didn't work, let me do it again. And he called 911, and the rest is history. Here's a funny, we don't have the tweets because Armstrong's out. Power issues with him as well. There was a tweet from Wendy's. Did you see this, Paul?
Is this the Georgia one?
No.
Is this the Rays?
The Rays.
Yeah.
Time for everybody's favorite made-up social media holiday. It's National Roast Day. Like right now, drop me or roast me below and feel the burn. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays, 16 minutes later responded, go ahead, Wendy, absolutely roast us. Keep it spicy like your nuggets. Wendy's responded, we're surprised you didn't pull your social media manager in the middle of writing that great tweet, National Roast Day. Wendy's.
Yeah. They sent one to Georgia, and I can't remember what it was, but the end of it was like, please don't buy any of our food. We're afraid you'll choke on it.
Oh, my God. Did they really?
Yeah, to Georgia football.
Oh, my God. That's horrible. How about Casey Lightfoot of Baylor? Broke the collegiate record in Lubbock, 6-meter. He cleared the coveted 6-meter bar in the pole vault. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the distance I don't know all that. Don't care. But he broke the collegiate record. He's been flirting with this, and he is a superstar right now in collegiate track and field.
Yeah,
he's absolutely. Speaking of which, Trayvon Bromell, I think, might have been in Japan or somewhere overseas. Did you see the video, Paul, of him? He looks like he's healthy again. He's been through some things, injuries. He looks like he is going full throttle.
Well, when you win a race like that in the 100 like that, that he won, then that means you're healthy. I mean, he won it. Like, it was not one of those who won this race. It was Trayvon Bromell and everybody else.
He separated with them. Now, a couple of the notes I want to clear up, and then Seth Payne. So I heard from a couple of folks that asked me about with Baylor men's basketball shut down, pause, whatever you want to call it. And we, a DTA was on with us Friday with Malhotra about what they do and a lot of his roles and all that. So I was asked, what can they do with the players who are cleared compared to those who are either isolated because of COVID or because of contact tracing? What are they allowed to do? And I did hear from a couple of different people. You're really not going to practice, but what you can do is you can still have workouts, so to speak, and you get individual times to come to the gym and use the gym. But as far as like team workouts, that's really not so much happening. Theoretically, if you're not in isolation or quarantine, you can practice, actually work out, go to the gym. So they're still having shoot-arounds or whoever individually, or I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 guys, but you can still do that. Those who are not COVID or contact tracing are getting some basketball in right now.
What I do hope, because and look, everybody has everybody's going to come out in the wash on this, but we've seen it. The biggest thing that happens when you come back from COVID is that you don't have the practice time, so you're not in any kind of rhythm or routine. So usually, I just want to see Baylor have 3 days of practice before they have to play a game again. Just a normal turnaround.
Yeah.
Because we know they're going to play on Thursday, and Saturday doesn't look all that great. But if they don't play on Thursday, I hope they at least get to practice on Thursday. The thing about Thursday to Saturday, though, if they're not going to play on Thursday, then, they already know they're not going to do that. So then they're going to practice on Friday and play on Saturday against Oklahoma State. Now, this team's really good, but I don't know if they're that good. And look, I watched Michigan. I don't know if you saw any of it yesterday, Michigan and Wisconsin. And by the grace of the fact that Michigan's really, really dang good, they came back from a terrible halftime deficit to win that game. But and that may be what happens with Baylor. But again, you don't know, okay, when you have enough, what's enough to play? Who is it? You might have enough, but what if it's Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, and Adam Flagler all gone? Well, that's going to change. Even if they weren't all 3 of the best scorers on the team, that's going to change how your lineup is because you've lost 3 guards. So
your rotation, your depth, your air, your oxygen, your legs.
Yeah.
You could only do so much conditioning without it still not being basketball type shape for those who may not be able to do that.
And then part of the other thing is their rotation, Smokey, is they can kind of get you in a lot of different ways because of the guys that do come off the bench. So, Jonathan Tchamwa comes off the bench and, he's high energy in defense and, can mash underneath. And then you've got Matthew Meyer, who can pretty much do just about anything off the bench. And so that you don't really know, what's your best defensive lineup against this team at a given point. There's not really one you can throw out there. So if they don't have that, if they don't have those pitches in the arsenal, so to speak, then it's going to be really tough. So
one more thing I thought was interesting on Twitter, and it reminds me, and when I say this, I hope everyone understands what I'm saying. There was a woman, she's the daughter of the silversmith who makes, or he's the one that crafts the Lombardi trophy, the beautiful trophy, the long stem with the football at the top. If this is not a sign of society today, our softness from a lot of different ways, and this is just being me, disagree with me, 254-339-1122. Lorraine Groves, the daughter of Greg Groves, the silversmith who crafted the first Lombardi trophy, says Tom Brady's tossing the Lombardi trophy while he was in a boat during the Super Bowl boat parade is insulting to her family, and she wants an apology. I didn't sleep for the last 2 nights because of this. I was that upset. Lorraine, my God, are you kidding me? You did not sleep for 2 nights because of a trophy being tossed that can be replaced just like that. And then I think it might have been, is it Jason Light, Paul? I'm not good with all
Jason
the personal.
Light, yeah.
he tweeted at her, "Lighten up, Francis." I mean, is that America today or what?
It is. Here's what she needs to know. I think one person who's done one slightly, let's just say, PG-13 rated thing with the Stanley Cup needs to call her and tell her some of the stuff that's happened with the cup. Believe me, the Stanley Cup has seen more things, and that's the same trophy. I mean, that's the one trophy. That's an old piece of equipment. That's not a new one every year like the Lombardi Trophy. The Stanley Cup's seen some things, man. The Stanley Cup, it's much worse than thrown off a boat.
If you could write a book, Seth Payne with us on Houston 610, talk show host, also former NFL defensive lineman, joins us. You got a little piece of that at the end. I don't know if you guys have talked about that, but oh my gosh.
We did. And my co-host Sean Pendergast, who's a big-time, old-time hockey fan, said the exact same thing about the Stanley Cup. And the other thing, too, is that I used to be under the impression that each team only had one Lombardi trophy, but in this era of watching all these interviews on Zoom, I see that every coach that's ever won a Super Bowl has a Lombardi trophy behind him. So I don't think there's just one unique Lombardi trophy. I think they get several copies of them.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's like not candy bars by any means, but oh my God, she couldn't sleep for 2 nights. Seth, what in the hell's going on with the city of Houston and sports and all the drama? Good God, what's happening?
It's I don't know. Some people have thought that maybe it's our punishment for the Astros scandal. We've lost just about every major star in the last calendar year, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins, George Springer of the Astros. You got now J.J. Watt, obviously, as well. James Harden. It keeps going on and on and on, and we might lose Deshaun Watson. It's been a really, really weird year, and I blame Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby, the director of football operations, for most of it.
Okay, so Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby have set up this thing, and clearly it's hit to Deshaun Watson. What happened between the time he signed the contract and now that he didn't see that this was coming?
That's a really good and fair question. That's what's so weird about all of this is that he just signed a contract in August. Because we know when Carson Palmer did it back with the Bengals, he was a little further along in his career. It wasn't like he had just signed a contract. So, yes, that's the natural and fair question. If Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby were in charge then and you signed that contract and you seemed genuinely happy about it, what changed? I think that at least part of it is that Jack Easterby and Bill O'Brien, were not competent general managers. I think Bill O'Brien is a good NFL coach. Is he the right coach? Is he a championship caliber NFL coach? I don't know, but he's at least a passable NFL coach. But as a general manager, he flat out didn't know what he was doing. So I think that after they traded DeAndre Hopkins, the Texans brought in some weaponry for Deshaun. The thinking was, hey, we're going to give you more weapons. Instead of having one supreme weapon in DeAndre Hopkins, we're going to try to give you more weapons so you have more options. And Deshaun has always defended Bill O'Brien in the media. Last year he went as far as saying that he loved Bill O'Brien after the Kansas City loss as he was defending Bill O'Brien. And I think that Deshaun was trying to be the good soldier and go along with it. As you got into this season where the Texans started off 0-4, Bill O'Brien gets fired, Jack Easterby continues to take more and more control of the organization. I think Deshaun just started to realize just how decrepit things had become very, very quickly. And this Jack Easterby character he's just that. He's a character. He's not a football guy. He seems to have some influence on the owner to a degree that just boggles the mind. And he was given speeches on Saturday nights before games. He's just kind of a goofy dude. And it feels like, to borrow a phrase from the departed Bob McNair, it feels a little bit like the lunatics are running the asylum. And by that, I mean Jack Easterby and some of these other people in the front office. It's just crazy town over there right now.
If in fact there was an event, a sporting event, and there were a lot of fans that could be there, let's say it's a Rockets game or an Astros game, and Deshaun Watson was spotted in the stadium on camera, would there be boos or would there be cheers?
Oh, no, there'd be cheers. And that's, hold on a second, excuse me. Apologize, I've been talking too much today.
It's okay.
That's what's so strange about all of this is that typically in a player potential holdout situation, the fans tend to side with management. Here, the perception by fans is that the Texans have bungled everything so thoroughly and completely that they understand that Deshaun is disgruntled, that Deshaun is angry, that it's not about money, and I think this is important. Some of the perception outside of Houston is that, Deshaun's upset because he wanted to be able to dictate who the general manager and head coaches were. No, the owner, Cal McNair, went to Deshaun Watson, said he wanted his input, and then the Texans went and hired a general manager who's best buds with Jack Easterby, and it felt like a whole bunch of the same. Jack Easterby is part of the problem, and early on in the process, it looked like the Texans were going to hire another general manager who probably would have fired Jack Easterby. Jack Easterby intervened at the last moment and wrested control away and got his buddy hired on a long, lucrative contract, Nick Caserio, as the general manager. So most people in Houston look at it and say something's wrong with the Texans right now. The team president resigned. J.J. Watt asked for his release. Deshaun Watson is just one of many talented people who flat out don't want to be there. The other thing that's happened with the Texans fans is we've watched this for the last 2 years. I mean, we watched the DeAndre Hopkins trade. We watched them give out exorbitant contracts to mediocre players, bring in free agents that weren't even starters on other teams and gave them starter caliber money. It's just a mess and people get it. I would say 80 and 90% of our listeners are adamantly supportive of Deshaun Watson. They hope that it can work out and they want the team to figure out how to work it out, but they're supporting Deshaun Watson over the team right now.
Well, the Texans, I mean, obviously they hold all the cards because Deshaun Watson signed the contract. I mean, he'd have to miss games and lose money and all that stuff. But how do they expect to work it out and make him happy, knowing like if he knows that look, the next couple of years at least are going to be probably rough.
I think that this is again where the unprecedented nature of it gets really interesting, because usually in any situation, really since 2007, when Kobe Bryant asked for a trade and the Lakers instead traded for Pau Gasol, they made Kobe Bryant happy and they went on to win more championships. Every time since then, in the past 13 years, when a star athlete has requested or demanded a trade, ultimately he gets moved. Even though the team has all the leverage technically, if that athlete is committed to holding out, eventually the athlete gets moved. And I think we're in a staring contest right now where the Texans are trying to figure out just how serious Deshaun Watson is. If he sat out training camp, the new collective bargaining agreement is a lot more prohibitive. He would lose about $3.5 million in fines, which is a lot of money, but for a guy who's probably going to make about $500 million in his career, it's not that much. And then he would lose all his salary during the season. His contract wouldn't toll. The contract year wouldn't toll, but he's already got that contract. So I think that if he's committed to it, he can force his way off the team.
And do you feel like, and obviously you made it clear why he's mad. I asked this to Rick Gosselin, a Hall of Fame writer and voter, does he hurt the brand by being in this wherever they are to where they couldn't get what they wanted for him in the first place?
Does he hurt like his brand or because he wants out so badly?
Well,
you think that
teams know he wants out, so doesn't that hurt the leverage the Texans would have?
That's what you would think, and it always seemed. But then I think what it always comes down to in these situations is all it takes is one team to really, really want him, and then they go. So I mean, if you think about Odell Beckham Jr. Or various other guys that have wanted out, ultimately they end up getting a pretty good package. So I don't think it hurts them that much. I think the thing that might hurt the Texans the most, and again, as much as I'll fault them for a lot of things, I can't really fault them if they mess up the timing on this, because to get maximum value, if they decide they want to trade him, then maximum value would probably be right before the draft. Because for then, like say hypothetically, if they trade him to the Jets, well, hey, they know that the Jets have that number 2 overall pick. You trade to the Dolphins, they know that you've got that high overall pick. Whereas if you trade after the draft, who knows? Deshaun Watson goes to the Jets, and that draft pick next year might not be that high. So, but they would have to concede by the draft that Deshaun Watson is committed to this, and that's where it's anybody's guess. As a Texans fan and as a former player, I'm kind of torn because there's part of me that obviously I want Deshaun Watson here. I want the Texans to figure it out. I want them to be able to pull him back into the fold. But there's also part of me that kind of enjoys sticking it to the man. And it's like, he's sticking it to the man right now. And this is why fans are aligned with him. Think about in most holdout situations or potential holdout situations. Usually it's about money, and the fans' interests are more aligned with the owner's interests because the owners are all about winning and long-term fiscal responsibility and all that. So the fans' interests are aligned with the owner's interests typically. Here, Deshaun Watson, basically pleaded at the end of the season for a change. It said, we need different leadership. We need to stop having all these different people who think they're in control and don't have the power. He basically openly pleaded for there to be a change. He had private conversations with Cal McNair, and ultimately what they did is they doubled down on more of the same. They said, let's take another Patriots guy. Let's take Jack Easterby's buddy and basically ignore everything that Deshaun was trying to tell the owner was going on. And various people, have had honest conversations with Cal McNair, the owner, about this. And I think he's dead set that Jack Easterby is the guy. Whereas Deshaun Watson, he wants to win, just like the fans. He wants to win, and it feels like he knows more how to do that than Jack Easterby and the owner does.
Cal, Bob McNair was one of the better owners in the league. I mean, he was a visionary. He's the guy who brought football back to Houston. There's not a whole lot of bad things you can really say about Bob McNair, and but the apple feels to have fallen far from the tree. When Jamie Roots, who's been there 22 years, leaves, when the PR department is kind of gutted and everybody loved the PR department and all the things that they had, why does Cal McNair not see that, there's a lot of team chaplains you can get? There's not a lot of Deshaun Watsons.
That's the hardest part about all of this is that, in some respects, I thought Cal was going to be better, more modern than Bob McNair. Look, Bob McNair was a guy who was in his 80s, was raised a certain way. I think there were times where he said things that he didn't quite realize how it landed with young black players. And that was a source of friction. And I was always very complex, like DeAndre Hopkins had a level of respect for Bob McNair, but also had serious issues with some of the things that Bob McNair said. Whereas Cal McNair is a younger guy. He walked on at Texas as a football player. I think he understood, or at least we thought he understood guys better. So there's that was going to be better. There used to be a perception that the Texans were just happy as long as they were making a profit and they weren't going to spend more than they had to. Cal McNair has spent. And the real sad part about all of this is that I think that if he had a really good general manager telling him what to spend his money on, it could have gone really, really well. But it's Jack Easterby telling him what to spend his money on. It was Bill O'Brien, the general manager. But the Texans spent more cash last year than any team in the league. So Cal McNair's heart is in the right place. It's just he's misplaced his loyalties, in my opinion. He's chosen the wrong key people. And the thing that I keep hanging on to is, hey, teams like the Browns, teams like the Bills were hapless. The Bills were lost. Terry Pegula and his wife, the Pegula family, didn't know what they were doing in a lot of people's eyes. And eventually they figured it out and they hired the right people. And all it took was a couple of you hire the right general manager, you hire the right head coach, and lo and behold, you're knocking on the door of the Super Bowl. So I'm hoping that at some point in the next couple of years, that's what happens with Cal McNair.
Seth Payne, former NFL defensive tackle, played with the Texans as well, also was 6'10" in Houston. If you have one more question for me, and then Paul, maybe a follow-up. How do players handle this? Like, it's in the off season, you got to worry about yourself as a business, but at the same time, does it wear you down a little bit? Do you keep up with it? How do you do that, especially at this time of the year?
Boy, I've never been through a situation quite like this before, where the hope and the savior and the dream, the guy that, frankly, they could get 4 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. You could spend that pick on a quarterback every single year, and there's a very good chance you're not going to come up with a Deshaun Watson. So this is very much the lifeblood of the organization. It took you 17 years to find, 15 years. They started in 2002. It wasn't until 2017 that they found their Deshaun Watson, and it could be another 15 years before they find him again. As a player, the tough thing sometimes, especially when you get back into OTAs and you start talking to the press again, is that you've always got other players back. Usually you don't go pocket watching with other players, and their contract disputes are their contract disputes. But when it's something like this where it's become very contentious with the front office, let's say you're a young third-year player, you're just still trying to make a name for yourself in the league. You got to walk that fine line between supporting your teammate, but also not stepping on the wrong side of management. So everybody ends up trying to be very diplomatic.
Hey, Seth, great stuff, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate what you do. Tell John McClain we said hi.
Oh, I will. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Seth Payne with us on 610 in Houston does a great job, and appreciate the feedback on all the drama and constant consternation with Houston, with James Harden, and then Springer gone, and now Deshaun Watson as well. When we come back, the Lady Bears hammered Texas again yesterday, and we'll hear from Kim Mulkey on a few things about what she thinks, and also the development of Nalissa Smith. Not just the development, she's been good for a couple of years, but how she's taken her game to another level, how the team has accepted the mode that she started 2.5 weeks ago after the loss to Iowa State, to get focused and get into a grind on the practice floor. That and Jason King will join us at 5:30, and Babe Laufenberg on so much good stuff in the NFL at 5. This is SicEm365 Radio.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, with locations in Waco and Bryan, and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a new year, time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Waco Custom Marketplace commercial. They have a $100 steak box right now. 4 pieces of ribeye steaks, 4 pieces of beef filet, and also 4 pieces of New York strips. It's like 10 pounds of steak, all frozen steaks, individually sealed for $100. Valentine's, of course, is come and gone, so hopefully you took advantage of the lobster tails and the steaks and more. And the live crawfish is getting very close, and we'll tell you more about that when we get information from Brian Bauer. They were open on Saturday. It was good to go by there and say hi to Brian and his staff. All right, McLean Stadium, February 25th through the 28th. It's Top Golf Live at Inside the Stadium. For more information, go to topgolflive.com. They'll be in Waco, but February 25th through the 28th for 4 days as they continue to work towards that new facility that's going up over near the Central Texas Marketplace. All right. So women's basketball. I had a stat here. Paul, they win 60-35. There was a time there, I know you weren't watching, where like Texas scored 2 or 3, 4 points in a matter of almost a quarter. They scored like 2 points in the second quarter. Baylor's now beaten them 23 out of 24 and had a chance to win that game. It was about, 3 years ago or so when they came into Waco and kind of jumped out to Baylor on a big lead. Kim now is 181-9 in 10 years in conference play. It's 181-9.
It's ridiculous how good they've been. And I think what's more impressive, I don't know, it's not impressive, it's a little, but it's impressive on Baylor's end, it's not impressive on the rest of the conference end, is how come no one has made any strides? I mean, no one's made any strides. At the beginning of it, Oklahoma and Baylor were kind of neck and neck. I mean, they were there, and then Baylor started to pull away. And then it's like if they were in the Daytona 500, they'd be driving laps around everybody else stalled on the track. I mean, that's what they've been doing for the last decade, and it's unbelievable. And what's happened with Texas is the one who every couple years somebody says, okay, well, maybe they can contend. They've got to win more than one in the last 12 years against Baylor, because that's what, or 10 years plus the postseason. They're struggling mightily, and Baylor's got that defensive groove back, Smokey, that they, where they can just smother you to where, they know that you're going to, they're going to hold you to 50 or less most nights if you're another team. So that means they only have to score 51, and they're going to score more than that most of the time. But when you only have to score 51 points to win, you can play pretty confident.
Yeah, there's no question. And Kim, you could tell they were frustrated. They had the pause. She had COVID. They came back and played maybe the one team or possibly West Virginia, who they play next if they can get in town, that might have given them trouble coming off the pause. And West Virginia and Iowa State's falling apart. Yeah. Oklahoma beat West Virginia over the weekend. And so they have like a 2-game lead, West Virginia coming into town. So after the game, Kim Mulkey in the media session. Paul, which way do you start, with Michelle Vopel or with me?
Michelle Vopel. It's about 5 minutes.
So after the game, Michelle Vopel asking about Baylor. She gets into the Alyssa Smith, the National Player of the Year type discussion. And then I start talking about now 2.5 weeks later, does she like where her team is, and did they accept the grind, so to speak, after the long, maybe 3.5-week pause?
Yeah, Coach Mulkey, I was just wondering if you could expand a little bit on NaLyssa, and especially, I mean, as good as we know she is, I just feel like she may be I don't want to say underrated, but in some ways it seems like that. And I guess today, what that showed to a national TV audience about how good a defensive player she is.
Well, people need to start talking about her and quit looking at stat sheets. I'm so tired of people voting for players of the year based on stats. Start looking at the champions of the league and go, what would that kid do on another team? And NaLyssa Smith is the same player she was when she was a freshman and a sophomore with the big she had to play with. She went in and won basketball games for us. This could potentially have been a very difficult year for her because all the attention would be on her. I think she's handled it beautifully, and she's just a natural double every night. And I think people on the larger scene, as always, they get caught up in stats and points. How about looking at a winner? How about looking at a kid that does whatever it takes to win championships? And NaLyssa Smith, she's going to have an outstanding career here, and she's going to have an outstanding pro career, and she's just gotten better and better every year. I don't know what else people want to see. How many girls can go up and catch a ball in midair and finish and contort their body the way she does? Not many. How many plays have you ever seen me do that for Cox or Kalani? They can't go up there and do what she can do in the air.
And I also just wanted to ask you, the top 16 reveal comes out tomorrow, and I know you always say, you just kind of take it however it comes. But do you feel you guys, are going to be at some point in there for a number one seed if you keep playing the way that you have been?
Well, I don't get to vote, Michelle. If you get to vote, I guess I can politic for it, but no. Heck, we got teams that lose that don't even drop. We got teams that lose to unranked teams and they don't even drop in the polls. So I don't, I kind of sometimes laugh at that. You have other teams that lose and they drop 2 and 3 points. I try, or two or three spots. I just really, I guess after 35 years of coaching, I quit investing in trying to figure all that out. The only thing I can control is my team. And I know that we're one of the top teams in the country that has the potential to win a national championship. I firmly believe that if we stay away from COVID and we stay healthy. I've watched a lot of basketball on TV this year because we can't, that's all we can do. Stay home and put our mask on and watch some ball games. And I've said this, there is no dominant team in women's basketball this year. There are outstanding teams, but there's no dominant team.
Thank you.
Smoak, then Nikki.
Kim, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you mentioned that you were in kind of that grind mode, that you had all those missed practices and then a loss, and that you felt like you had to take it to another level. How has your team responded other than the obvious of winning?
Well, I think you've seen, well, no, you probably haven't because you're not in practice. They can tell you it's been totally different than the ups and downs we had on, are we here today? How many tomorrow? Who, COVID test. It's just been a complete 360 in what they're doing now because we've been on the floor every day. They're getting to know each other better on who needs a pass where, who can help here, talking more, just playing, just the ability to get on the practice floor every day and play in the games. It just makes you better.
If you don't mind a follow-up, have you given or talked to Scott at all about the pause, about what you went through? And I know they've had it before, but any kind of back and forth between the two of you?
No, we haven't. I think I texted him maybe one day to ask honestly about a COVID rule, about a COVID test after 90 days, but it wasn't basketball. Look, I'll say it now. Scott Drew has one heck of a basketball team, and he's got a chance to win his first Big 12 championship. He's got the players. He's got the depth. He's got, transfers that have experience. That matters this year, guys. That matters. And I guess if you look at it on Scott's I guess if I were to look at it from Scott's point of view, is he's getting all the COVID out of the way, because I think just a majority of his guys have had it. So he's getting it out of the way before the playoffs, which is contradictory to where I am. We haven't had but 3 or 4 kids that have had it. So I'm a nervous wreck from now till the playoffs, because it could hit you at any time.
All right, so that is Kim Mulkey following the game. Queen Egbo was a part of that, and then she said in the presser that Queen Egbo, if she plays the way she did, that gives them a chance to be elite. Right now, number 7 in the country, having to, they lost to Arkansas on the road, who eventually I think even beat UConn number 1 after the win against South Carolina, West Virginia for the women's basketball program that's next. By the way, Collier, Paul, the star number 1 player perhaps in the WNBA draft, you're the one that sent me this note about you've scouted the WNBA draft. She scored 2 points. She's having a pretty good run. She's perhaps the number 1 pick of the draft. Not only did she score 2 points, only 2 points, she took 3 shots. And you could tell by the social media chatter, like Melissa Smith's brother, I think it is, about how they were very focused on her coming to town. And I think that maybe gave Queen Egbo a little extra incentive as well. But you heard Bill Brock talk about her hands. See, I've noticed that sometimes you either have good hands or you don't. She's dropped some passes, bobbled a few, muffed a few. She was all in it last night. And I appreciate you sending me that WNBA.
Look, listen, here's my drafting. If I was a scout, one of the things I would watch on film is, how does my player that I like a lot play against elite talent? So think about, I'll just use the comparison of, if you've got what you think is the best wide receiver in the draft and he's in the SEC, go watch the 5 games he played against the other first-round draft picks. And if he's not that good, he's probably not going to be that good in the NFL either.
Yep, you're exactly right. But how you broke that Charlie Calton, how you broke down Collier's game, spent time on it.
If I was at my house and had all the film and everything, I would
put it up.
I would put it up, but
the little telestrator, all that.
I have all that stuff.
Oh God! All right, coming up next, the 5 o'clock hour. Former Cowboys quarterback, NFL quarterback, but he is brilliant as an analyst for the Cowboys Radio Network on many things that we've talked about the last 2-3 weeks, even longer. Quarterbacks on the move, the Stafford trade, Dak, and what's going on with the Cowboys. He breaks that down. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. It's incredible. Babe Laufenberg's one of a kind. And then Jason King on the men's basketball team, as they go through this pause, his thoughts about what's going on, all that and more. Paul Catalina, David Smoak. We probably might do this again tomorrow, although, I'm telling you, we're driving to the studio. We're driving. I see sunshine. I actually see some things dripping off the roof. Craig's stuck because of no power. Paul's wants to get mama's cooking tonight. Don't. What?
Look, it's probably 39 degrees in my house right now. So,
it's inside your house.
Inside my house, it's probably 39 degrees.
Right. The temperature is 19 degrees.
Yeah.
It's supposed to get down to single digits. And by tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, it's 25 degrees. It will all be melted. It'll be mush and slush. We're in the studio tomorrow, come hell or high water.
Or we can do this one more time and wait for it to really be gone. Because I think I know what I'm doing. This is all a dry run. Now I know.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Now you think it's 2/3 of the way through the show.
I knew it. I knew it 1/3. A 1/3. I knew it. It's just the last hour has been very smooth. So
you told me on Friday you knew it all.
Well, then we had a factor that disappeared. That was Armstrong. Armstrong was going to be here, and that was my safety net.
I'm very worried about Armstrong starting to get used to not doing the show.
Yeah. So
I really think that it's getting to be perhaps that we're starting to have a problem with Armstrong. Is he even, let's see, if he really loved us, he would be monitoring what we're doing. You think he is? Hell no.
He doesn't have internet, so I don't know if he can.
All right, coming up, here we go. Babe Laufenberg and also Jason King, SicEm365 Radio. And we'll be back in a moment.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Here's Elliott. He will get it. Touchdown Dallas as Elliott fought for it and has his 6th of the year.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Cowboys Radio Network, color analyst and former NFL quarterback Babe Laufenberg on SicEm365 Radio. Have you ever seen this kind of drama, speculation, innuendo, things actually happening as we have this offseason in the NFL?
Ooh, not from the quarterback position, right? And obviously that's what everybody gets excited about, when there's quarterbacks in the draft, and everybody, we all remember the Aaron Rodgers draft, the Johnny Manziel draft, even Goff and Wentz, and who's going to go 1, who's going to go 2. Shoot, you can go back to Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf, but those Those make the drafts fun, and they make the off seasons fun. And I've never seen any kind of movement like this with established quarterbacks. You know, Goff going from the Rams, obviously, to Detroit, and Stafford going to the Rams, and just everything working up top. Deshaun Watson obviously wants to be traded. Carson Wentz is out there, probably going to be traded. Will Sam Darnold, you know, the Jets have the second pick in the draft. Will they move on from him, try to get something for him? So it's just kind of crazy what's happening with all the quarterbacks. And you can even go to San Francisco where, you know, you keep reading about they want to get better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But here's one for you, Smoak. Kyle Shanahan is 22-8 when Jimmy Garoppolo is his starter. He's 7-27 when Jimmy Garoppolo is not his starter. So I understand he's had some injury issues, but I think I'd look at that and say, we could go a while before we find another guy as good as this one.
Yeah, sometimes you be careful what you wish for. Now, with there's a lot of confusion at times, and maybe people who get emotional, obviously, for reasons with Dak and the Cowboys. It's not as if Dallas doesn't want to commit to him. Is it more Dak doesn't want to commit too long to the Cowboys? Can you kind of iron that out as we head into this offseason?
I really can't, but clearly last year the sticking point was the fact that the Cowboys wanted to sign him for 5 years and Dak wanted to sign for 4. And I always kind of look at those situations as, okay, who's out of the standard operating procedure here? And quite honestly, it was the Cowboys. You know, quarterbacks were getting signed for 4 years. Now, Mahomes' deal was totally different, went for 10, all that. But all these quarterbacks were signing 4-year deals. And the Cowboys were trying to get Dak signed up for 5. Dak obviously did not want to. You know, salary cap's going down this year. They guess by about $17 or $18 million. So if you play Dak under the franchise tag, that's right at around $38 million. So that number goes way up as the cap number is going down. So none of that makes sense. So certainly behooves the Cowboys to get him signed up to a long-term deal. But, you know, every day I think it goes by, Smoak, and I know there are deadlines coming up, but they certainly passed one up last year and franchised him. But I think every day and every week that goes by is, I guess, not a good sign for Cowboy fans. Not that he'll be a Cowboy next year, be it under the franchise tag or signing a long-term deal, but if he is franchised, I think conventional wisdom says he will not be here the following season.
Is what we're seeing with Deshaun Watson and maybe even a few other things that have happened along the way, are we starting to see the turning of what in the NFL would be hard? Football is one of the ultimate team sports, if not the ultimate team sport. Are we starting to see something that's like a Pandora's box, depending on how the Texans handle Deshaun Watson? And is there ever a chance the NFL could get to where the NBA is, where you have movement where superstars, not through free agency, but almost forcing themselves to go play elsewhere, can happen?
Well, I think we saw a little bit of that with Tom Brady this past season, right? And he goes to Tampa, and basketball is so different because obviously there's just 5 guys on the court. So if you can get 2 superstars to go join up, especially when one of them is LeBron, all of a sudden 2 guys make you title contenders and even title favorites. Whereas in the NFL, typically that's, you know, you can get 2 good players and finish 4-12.
You're right.
I mean, Deshaun Watson was a good example of that. You know, he had a good statistical year. You know, there's guys that rush for 1,500 yards and the team wins 4 games, and you can go on and on with that list. Whereas obviously the NBA, again, you get a couple of superstars and you're going to be competing for an NBA title. But you do see that. I think you clearly see more of that happening now in the NFL in terms of, I guess, players holding the team's feet to the fire, if you will. And Deshaun Watson appears to be doing that. Now, let me just say this. If I'm Houston, I know they've had a lot of change, obviously, front office, coaching, everything else. But I go basically recruit Deshaun Watson. You know, David Culley's new head coach. I go recruit him. I know he's on your team, but I treat him just like a high school senior. Now it's an 8th grader that you're recruiting for college.
Yeah.
But I treat him like that guy where I say, look, I want to sell myself and my team and my organization to this guy. And I think I would do everything in my power if I'm in Houston. If I were up there in the front office, I would be saying, look, I don't care what we do, but we have got to get this guy back in the fold. We got to get him back on our side. We've got to get him believing. So whatever it takes to do that, that's our job. That's our job right now. And then we'll go about everything else after that. I just think he's too good to begin to try to find another one.
If, in fact, he remains in Houston, which right now that's up in the air, but by the way this has gone down, and, of course, if they end up keeping him, everyone will act like, oh, it's part of business, and maybe that's true. But this seems to be deeper than that. If in fact, he does stay and play in Houston, has he damaged his own brand of the team he plays for?
I don't think so, only in the sense that he wants to win. I think sometimes you see receivers, right? They want the ball more. Running backs, they want the ball more. That's not. I don't see any of what Deshaun Watson is doing is about me, other than I want to go win. I want to go to a place where I can win, and I think I got a dysfunctional organization here, and we're not going to win for a long time, and I want to go somewhere where I can win. Now, keep in mind, as we know, Smoak, it's not like he's been, I hate the word disrespected, but, they just gave him a new contract at the start of the season. He's making $39 million a year, so it's not like a situation where, they say, hey, they haven't paid me. I've outplayed my contract. None of that. He just signed a new contract. So I don't see organizationally that the team has offended him in any way, other than they don't look like a team that's going to win, and they don't look like a team right now, organizationally, that knows how to win.
There's no way Jerry would ever allow it to get to this point with Dak, because, you say the franchise tag, and then that might be Zach and his agent say, okay, but there's no way he would ever allow something like this to happen where he's had players leave, but doesn't he keep whoever he wants to keep?
I think for the most part, yes. I think that had always been the case. But I just never say never. And again, I just, the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior, right? Mm-hmm. And there have been two guys hit the franchise. Two quarterbacks have been franchised in NFL history. One was Drew Brees in San Diego. He left. The other was Kirk Cousins twice in Washington. He left. So Dak is now the third quarterback to have been franchised. And again, if they don't get something done this season, and Dak plays under the franchise tag next year, I think the odds are probably long that he would be a Dallas Cowboy the following season. So, but again, there's a lot of time. As we all know, deadlines make deals. So there's a lot of time for them to get this done. And we'll just see whose feelings have been, Dak, I know Dak's feelings have been bruised a little bit through this, right? Sees everybody else getting these contracts, out of his own class, right? Jared Goff got the big contract. Carson Wentz got the big contract. I mean, the second contract. While Dak was sitting there, for the most part, outplaying them, and he's sitting here playing on a franchise tag in his fifth year.
Babe, you mentioned Brady earlier about what the Buccaneers have done, and I got to tell you, when the story came out he was going to Tampa, I said that's nice. That takes him, maybe he can help teach them how to win, but only to a certain level. And obviously they got hot, and he and Arians, they got through the early part struggles. Can you imagine? It used to be, and when I say that, it sounds like I'm old because I am, but it used to
I'm right
be.
Behind you.
Yeah, you are right behind me, but it was like the standard was Bradshaw, Montana, the 4 Super Bowls, and it was hard to get one. Some great quarterbacks like Marino and Fouts and others have never had any, and now it's 7. It's like almost like what Tiger was doing with major championships until his life and injuries and other things derailed that run. But is it not just insane what he's done?
I think that's the perfect word. It is insane. It's crazy. It's all those things. And the other part about Brady, and I usually don't like, quite honestly, getting into, well, this guy's better than that guy, and that guy better than that guy, because if you're talking Roger Staubach, right, and Brett Favre and the Troy Aikmans of the world and the Tom Bradys, I mean, it sounds like the other guy isn't very good, right? Oh, Staubach's better than Aikman. It's like, well, Aikman's pretty good.
Yeah.
When you start that debate up. But the amazing thing to me is when you look at Bradshaw, for instance, I don't know the exact number. Obviously, you can figure out the number of Hall of Famers that he played with, the defense that he played with. There was a streak they had in 74, I believe it was, Pittsburgh. I mean, teams didn't score 10 points for like 8 straight games. So Brady never had that, though. Obviously, he had a great coach, maybe the best of all time. You can start that argument up, obviously, if you want to. But he had a great coach, and he had solid players, but he had Randy Moss for a couple of years. And, I mean, you talk about Hall of Famers. He was not surrounded by Hall of Famers. And for the most part, he was the guy that had to win games for him. It wasn't a situation like you had the 85 Bears defense or the Ravens 2000, Tampa Bay when they won their Super Bowl, where you just had to go out and not screw things up. He had to lead that football team. And I think the other thing, very quickly, Smoak, is now I'm convinced, because I saw it with Peyton Manning and I saw it with Tom Brady, where one player who's a quarterback, obviously, it's got to be a quarterback, comes in and changes the whole organization. I mean, just holds the feet to the fire of everybody involved. Not just, and I'm saying it's not just the receivers, right, in the passing game, or the offense, or the football team. It's the front office. It's the training staff. It's everyone, man. When a guy like Tom Brady walks in there, I just think everybody says, whoa, I better not screw this up. And the same thing kind of happened with Peyton Manning. Now, Denver had been a better organization, obviously, and a winning organization, but you saw what happened before he got there, and you kind of see what happened since Peyton has left there. So the bottom line is, if I had an opportunity to get one of those just legacy quarterbacks, I would mortgage the farm or do whatever it took to get that guy into my organization.
One more question, if you don't mind. As we see Drew Brees and Roethlisberger, and of course Rivers has retired, we have this influx of new talent and the possibility of whatever Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, or whoever else, and how good they're going to be. How good, when you look at Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert, and we don't know yet about Tua, and Hurts is kind of a, he got a chance to show a little bit. It seems like the league is very healthy when it comes to the quarterback position, because I don't even include Mahomes and obviously Deshaun Watson and the young players out there. It just seems like, isn't it amazing the way the calendar turns, and yet here comes the talent. It's always kind of just been, it doesn't always work that way, but here we are filling up the cupboard again.
Oh, I think you're exactly right. And I think there's a little bit of a middle in there, with apologies to all the guys who are in the middle.
Sure.
But if you go from Mahomes back to these latest drafts, and you go to that, again, like you just mentioned, the Rivers, Brees, Rodgers, Brady, the guys that have been kind of dominating for 15 years, there was a little bit of a lull in there where that next superstar guy wasn't coming. But now, yeah, you look at these young quarterbacks. Again, I laugh, Smoak, because we forget how young Mahomes is, because we've seen him in 2 Super Bowls. We've seen him get to the AFC Championship game in the other year starting. So you feel like he's been around a while. And what is he, 24, 25 years old? So I consider him part of that young group of QBs. And it really is a exciting time. Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. How did I forget him? Yeah.
Oh, no, but because there's a bunch of them. Before, you could point to one guy or 2 guys, and now there's a whole bunch of them. I think the most exciting thing for me, and maybe, being here in Dallas for the last 30 years and kind of watching Matthew Stafford in high school and then following everything, obviously, throughout his career, is to see what he does with Sean McVay and the Rams. I mean, of all the things that intrigue me, now that Brady's won his Super Bowl in Tampa and gone down there and changed that organization, that's the most intriguing to me. What is Sean McVay going to do with Matt Stafford out there? And I think it could be pretty special. And I'm really happy for Matt Stafford to get to a place where, you know, he's got a really, really good offensive mind out there. And I think he's going to be, I don't want to say rejuvenated because, man, nobody played harder than Matt Stafford, but I think he's got to be excited about the whole proposition as well.
Well, and I have to follow up with one more thing. I always say that, then I always think of something else, and you say something that makes me...
okay.
So we heard Russell Wilson a week or two ago kind of make comments about personnel. We've Deshaun Watson with Houston. How much should...
Aaron Rodgers
in Green Bay, that's a constant thing. How much do you think, you played the position, you were there when... Obviously, the Cowboys had a great run as well. You've been at Washington where Joe Gibbs had all the quarterbacks. How much personnel discussion should a GM or head coach have with a quarterback as they make decisions?
I think that's a really good question. And I'm thinking about it as you speak. And I've thought about it previously. You know, on the one hand, you want to keep your quarterback, I think, informed. But on the other hand, you know, you all have roles, right? And the quarterback's job is to play quarterback, and the GM's job is to get players, and the owner's job is to own the football team, and the training staff is to keep guys healthy. Obviously, guys get upset when they, you know, Aaron Rodgers wasn't aware they were drafting quarterback. But as you well know, Smoak, in that draft, shoot, you never know what's available at the time you draft. You never know who's going to come get your pick. You're going to trade up. There's a guy sitting there at 10 that you had ranked as a top 5 player. So you move up. So it's hard to really go into these drafts saying to a veteran player, hey, just so you know, we're trying to get a guy here. Mm-hmm. So I guess in answer to your question, though, I would say, no, I wouldn't really involve them in that. Now, would I solicit their opinion on a guy? Absolutely. You know, if you played with somebody somewhere, or, you know, you're a quarterback and you threw to this receiver, say, hey, what'd you think of him? Or, you know, I'd go to players, anybody that had played with the guy, and say, what kind of guy is this? Who are we dealing with here? But as for kind of being an assistant GM, have your quarterback, I should say, be an assistant GM, I would say that probably isn't a good idea. I'll go back. You very briefly. You mentioned, you know, Joe Gibbs in Washington, and there was a clear delineation of, I'll say, power or assignment. And Bobby Beathard, you know, he brought the players in, and Joe Gibbs coached them, and there was a real, again, there was a delineation of power there. And I think that is actually good for your organization, because Joe Gibbs, other than me, he always wanted to keep, and I think any coach, right? I think any coach wants to keep a player a year too long. You know what they've done for you. You know, you've had this guy for 7 years, and you know he's played hurt, and you know he's tough, and you know he's sacrificed. And your inclination is to say, gosh, I want this guy around. I want this guy around. Whereas the GM's inclination is, again, saying, hey, that guy, he's not the guy he was. He's not the guy that played for you 3 years ago. And I got this young guy here ready to go. You know, you give him a year, and he'll be ready to roll for you. And again, coaches, you know, they want that known factor. They want that known quantity, that veteran player. And I think the GM's job is to continually move the roster forward. So I'm a big fan of a separation of the GM and the head coach, and likewise head coach and a quarterback.
Babe, I can't thank you enough, man. Good luck with the power, the icy conditions. Yeah. It's crazy. We had the snow back in January that stayed in Waco, you know, and of course in other places as well. Stay warm, stay safe. Thank you as always for your time.
Yes, sir. And very quickly, Smoak, I will say it gives me a great appreciation. We have power out for 3-4 hours, and you're upset because you can't get on the internet. I always think about the people that are living like just trying to stay warm every day.
Yep.
So we're thankful. We're grateful.
Yeah, for those who need to get shelter, we hope we can find that room. That's Babe Laufenberg, Cowboys Radio Network. Thank you for your time on SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's Group Meal.
Next in line.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Jason King, SicEm365, college basketball writer, analyst, columnist, also, of course, the Field of 68 as well. So, man, I tell you what, that win Oklahoma in overtime against West Virginia, Baylor now has a 4-game lead in the loss column, and they've been able to sit back and watch everybody else kind of do their thing. What do you think, Jason's going to happen? How many games do you think Baylor's going to get in? Because right now they're scheduled to play Saturday, and even Mac Rhodes has said he's not so sure. That's kind of a 50-50 game.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've heard is just pessimism, I guess, surrounding that game Saturday. But I think after that, if they can get through that, and then they're going to feel really good about where they are health-wise and where they're going to be, heading down the key stretch of the season, which would be, March and hopefully into April. But, they want to make sure that they get enough games in to get that Big 12 title and make it official, first time in school history. You know, I've heard that they need to play 14 or 15 games for, I guess, to qualify. I don't know what the exact rule is, and I apologize for not being more well-versed on it. So I expect them to play they've played 9 Big 12 games so far. I expect them to get to 14, maybe 15 Big 12 games. And, even if they miss Oklahoma State, after that they've got Iowa State, West Virginia now, which has been rescheduled, in Kansas on the schedule. The first 2 of those being at home. And then that Kansas game's on February 27th. I would expect that next week, which was kind of been designated as the makeup week in the league. I expect them to try to maybe squeeze another 2 or 3 games in that week, and hopefully a couple of those will be at home since they've played more road games and home games so far. You'd like to think Texas, being so close, would be one of those. Maybe TCU, wouldn't shock me if they went on the road against Oklahoma. I don't expect them to play at West Virginia. So, again, I think of the 18 games that most Big 12 teams play each year, I think that all Big 12 teams play each year, I think hopefully they could get 14 or 15 in this year.
It's crazy that it's not crazy, but it's so unique. We've had these postponements, COVID, whatever, schedules being moved around, and now we get this winter ice storm that just blows right through the state of Texas. And even TCU Tech tomorrow postponed. Texas, Oklahoma moved back a day. Texas, Iowa State Thursday postponed. It's crazy. I mean, it is crazy. It is crazy. It's just trying to the schedule makers, and imagine if you're the guys like that are trying to be the ones that set up the itinerary for flights and back. And it's have you ever seen anything like it?
No, it's just maddening too, especially if you're Baylor, because when you couple them in last year, I mean these are the best 2 teams they've ever had in their program history, and for all this to kind of be coming down on them right when they're so good really, really sucks. But I do feel for the administrators in the Big 12 and at the individual schools, and probably the money that might be lost here and there with having to break flights and reservations. And I remember when Baylor was going to play Gonzaga up in Indianapolis, they went up there and played Illinois and stayed up there at the ritzy JW Marriott for 3 days, waiting to play Gonzaga on Saturday. That's a lot of hotel money lost, that for a game that never even got played. So it's tough. And also, I mean, for the players as well, I mean, having to kind of always be preparing for the unknown. I mean, you scout for a team and then the game gets canceled right before, and it seems like it just kind of could zap your energy and your momentum a lot. And then, like I mentioned, after that Kansas game on February 27th, that there's a chance they could maybe play 3 games in 6 or 7 days. That's tough, for a team physically and mentally. So it's just everything's so unorthodox right now. It's frustrating.
What did we learn, or did we learn much from Michigan, Wisconsin? They had been on pause for 23 days. Obviously, they struggled. Wisconsin's a top 25 team, and they, their style is different. But in the end, Michigan found a way to win the game, which I thought was pretty gutsy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Michigan's, proven all year that they're a top 3 to 5 team. But, normally, and I hear this a lot with guys that are in the gambling business, all the odds makers, and which is such a huge deal right now. They say teams coming off of a pause, I mean, usually that first game or 2, I mean, they're not quite themselves. And to be honest, I mean, it might be a little better that Baylor, it would be better for them to return against Iowa State, who is a struggling team right now, than it would against Oklahoma State Saturday. Because, I mean, Oklahoma State, if you remember, led Baylor at halftime without Cunningham even playing in that game. They always played Baylor tough and close. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if that game got canceled at this point, just to let Baylor kind of ease back into things against Iowa State and then go to and then host West Virginia. So, we'll see what happens. But Baylor is just, the thing about them is they've just been so much better than everyone else in the league. Like we've said time and time again, 8 points has been the closest game they've played. I just think that they're a clear level ahead of everyone else in the Big 12 right now. Everyone talks about how good the Big 12 is, and I agree with that remark from a competitive standpoint and a parity standpoint. But I just don't think these teams are that good. I mean, just from a personnel standpoint, I definitely think Texas is as good as they've been in a while, and they're so talented. But this is one of the worst Kansas teams, maybe the worst Kansas team Bill Self's ever had. I'm not that impressed with Texas Tech. I do think West Virginia's surging right now. I mean, Oklahoma's making some waves, but I mean, this isn't like a Buddy Hield kind of Oklahoma team. You know what I mean? They're just so. So I don't know. I just think Baylor is way ahead of everyone at this point.
Yeah, it's just get games in, and I don't. Mac was on with us a couple of weeks ago, may have been even last week, when he talked about some kind of a threshold of 3 games minus whatever the league average is. But it'll be interesting. It is frustrating because they have this once. I'm not going to say once in a lifetime team, but basically with Baylor terms, and they had those teams in the 40s that were good. But yeah, it is, and it's crazy. It's almost like they finally have not just a good, they have an elite team, and it's here they are not able to play. Davion Mitchell and what he's been able to do, Jason, and what he's always been good, but the last 3 or 4 games right before the shutdown, what he's now providing for them offensively and consistently, what does that do for this team?
Well, I just think that they're getting an aspect to him that maybe they weren't deep down counting on, and that's his offense. I mean, this guy, I think in his last couple of games, I mean, it's been so long since they've played, I forgot the stats, but something like 15 of 23 or something from three-point range in his last 3 or 4 games, and playing with such confidence. I mean, it's funny. You look at all these All-American lists, and the Wooden Awards released their top 10 finalists, or top 15 finalists, and of course Butler's on there, but Mitchell should be on there too. I mean, he's playing like a first or second team All-American this year. I mean, if Gonzaga can have 3 players on those lists, Baylor should at least have 2, and I think that he's probably the favorite for the National Defensive Player of the Year, the Naismith Award for that. And so it's just that quartet of guards right now. It's just a special group, and he's the leader of it. And the thing is like last year he was an excellent player, one of the top defenders in the nation. But this year, I just think from a leadership standpoint too, he's kind of become, along with Butler, kind of the face of this team. And he's done it somewhat. He's got some of a quiet personality, but I do think he's a little more outspoken, and he's taken a game that was at about an 8 or a 9 and made himself into a 10 caliber player.
It's you're right, and the other thing about it is we've had some national guys on, and you're a national writer as well, but we had some that started to say that Jared Butler, who was a part of the watch list, but that he actually should be getting more attention when it comes to the player of the year. Of course, Garza at Iowa, Illinois has a guy who Baylor beat straight up. Gonzaga has their multiple people. But how unfortunate it is not only the not playing games, but here's Jared starting to get a little traction, even from, Dick Vitale, obviously Fran Fraschilla, others, and then they get shut down. Does that probably kill his chances of being player of the year?
Well, not quite, because there's always the chance for the strong finish, and just as he was, making a name for himself before the shutdown, he'll get a chance to come back and do it again. I was real frustrated, last month when Seth Davis from The Athletic comes out and says, if you vote for anyone besides Luka Garza, for this award, you're not worthy of even voting, and that's ridiculous to say. In mid-January, Iowa struggled a little bit. Now Baylor keeps rolling. I mean, I want to, usually on awards like that, I want to vote for the winner, the guy that's winning on the best team or one of the top 2 or 3 teams. To me, that would be Butler without question. So, based on what I've heard, I don't expect him to win it, but I definitely would think he'd be in the top 2 or 3 without question. He would get my vote without question. So, but both of those guys, I mean, should be on there. And the other thing too, Smoak, is that I don't know if you see this stuff lately, during this pandemic, and people are just looking for stories to write. It's like, let's talk about Coach of the Year, even though it's early February. And they've got Scott Drew on a list of 5 guys. Some people are saying, I'd go with Lon Kruger, or I'd go with Nate Oates at Alabama. And I'm just thinking, are you crazy? How could, I just don't see how you could give it to anyone but Scott, especially if they were to go undefeated in the league. That hasn't happened in over 20 years. In the Big 12. It's only happened once, and that's when Kansas did it in 01-02. And that team had Drew Gooden, Kirk Heinrich, Nick Collison, 3 lottery picks, Jeff Boschee, big-time team. I mean, if they were to pull that off with a point guard that was averaging 2 points at Auburn, a guy that was playing at Presbyterian, a guy that was playing at UNC Asheville, Jared Butler, who was a top 100 recruit. I mean, come on, JTT, all these guys that he's recruited and meshed together into this unit to form this elite dominant team that people are now talking about in historical perspectives as far as like the numbers they're putting up and things like that. If you don't give that award to Scott, then you do need your credential revoked.
Yeah.
I just don't see how anyone else is in the conversation.
Well, I think even more so, not with just this year, last year, but you know what? Because so many people, and I go back to this again, some guys who just didn't like him, didn't trust him, had been influenced by some of the others that at the time when he became the head coach and started winning at Baylor were starting to lose to him. We know the stories about that. I remember Jeff Goodman. He and I've known him for a long time through Kyle Keller, who's a friend of mine, at Stephen F. Austin when he was at Oklahoma State, Kansas. But I remember Jeff Goodman, and he told me this. He didn't trust him. You know, he was kind of caught in that, what others were telling him. And now when he jumps on board, not that he's the end all, but he is absolutely just cannot say enough about him. It's crazy, though, that, and I've used that word crazy too much, but hell, anything about the last 9-10 months is crazy. Isn't it nuts that it took so long for people to finally realize this is really who he is? And every player we have on, former, current, whatever, they say the same thing when they first met him. There's no way. And then they meet him and they live around him and they see him and they realize this is who he is. This is who Scott Drew truly is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. The first couple of years I knew Scott, I was skeptical. You know, I was just like, is this guy just friendly all the time? Is he just trying to butter me up? Is he trying? You know what I mean? It's just, But then I realized, no, that's not the case. I mean, he's this way all the time, and it's unfortunate that it took him. It took getting teams that were just so elite that you just couldn't ignore him for people to finally go, okay, he's good. You know, I mean, I thought you should have been saying that when he was going to the Elite Eight a couple of times, and when he was going to Sweet 16 a couple of times. But no, it actually took him to get to this level. But I do think, Goodman, I mean, is a friend of mine, and he came around 4 or 5 years ago. Gary Parrish is another guy that's a big supporter of Scott, but there's still, you're always going to have the Pat Forties of the world who are going to just hate on Baylor no matter what. I think a lot of it's because they're jealous because there's so many Missouri alums in the media. I think it bothers. And, people like to say Baylor good at Baylor. I like to say Missouri good at Missouri, because they're the ones struggling lately. But their people are coming around without question, and I hope it pays off in that Coach of the Year award. I just don't see how you can give it to anyone else if you really sit back and consider, all he did to build this team into what it is.
Jason, thanks for your time, man. Stay warm, stay safe, and appreciate it. Hope to see you at a game soon.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Jason King, SicEm365, and the Field of 68 on SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3-Peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop, and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we are to close out the show, and it's what a day it's been. Thanks to Jason King for being a part of the show, and Rick Gosselin, Todd Whitman, Seth Payne, Kim Mulkey, Babel Offenberg, and I might even, Bill Brock, appreciate his time as well. All right, so I got some suggestions for the drivers. Celia above us, she needed some fat-free milk. If Celia's an elderly woman who is like the complex, like, mascot, right? Mm-hmm. So she had asked me in a call about whether I was going to get out yesterday, and I didn't. But that she needed some fat-free milk. She maybe had a couple more days left, so we couldn't get out. So then I said, we got a couple of segments. I'm going to go. There's cones at the top of the hill on Lakeshore, right outside of our complex entry parking lot, right? Because it's a pretty steep drive. And it's the same amount of cars, like 5 or 7 cars off to the side, stranded, whatever. The problem with them is I noticed in one car who was coming up the hill, driving like a Buick Town Car, one of those big, is they're going too slow to get any traction. It's not that you need to go flying up the hill, but the snow on the ground makes it a lot easier to drive and you should have traction. Now, I've got a pretty nice car, I get that. But the problem, Paul, are people are getting stuck because they're like creeping along up the hill. Go!
Yeah, they need to, people just don't know how to drive on this because they never have, Yeah, and you can't. like you're going to get stalled if you don't get aggressive. If you're going to go out, you got to be able to be defensive and not get stuck. But yeah, if you're too afraid to drive slow, then you don't need to be out.
Well, and it's I get that the cones are out, and I get that most likely it's probably you don't need to go anywhere, don't go anywhere. But the snow really is in about 30 minutes it's going to get dark. Okay, that's not smart. But it's not like there's people driving. It's not a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not like I saw maybe 4 cars behind me, 3 or 4. But I just wanted to go down to the corner store to get a bag of pretzels, just to something. I have nothing to snack on. So the problem I saw with the cars that are finding themselves up that fairly decent steep hill is they're going so slow that no matter what, they're going to end up starting to slide backwards. So that's my tip of the day.
Yeah, well, let the laws ease up. Don't go so slow, but don't jam it. So just let the laws of physics dictate what you're going to do.
I had no problems at all, and I didn't do it to just prove that because I could have gotten. Believe me, I was prepared that maybe I would get stuck. So I just needed to get out. I needed to get some fresh air, and that's not a very far drive. It's like a mile and a half or whatever. So that's it. So tonight, Paul, I need you doing wheelies on Woodard Acres on the way home.
Yeah, still no power. I've got my neighbors reporting back to me, so still nothing in the mountain.
What do you got, beat reporters in the neighborhood on like we're checking in with scores or something?
I got people all over. I got people on different corners of the neighborhood telling me what's going on. So.
Okay, where's Woodrow?
He's under the table right here.
He's a fraidy cat, isn't he? Woodrow he's a fraidy cat.
Let me tell you this. So he's very afraid of rain. He did not like the snow right at first. But since we've gotten here, and my mom, she's got a little courtyard here. He walks around this courtyard in the snow, and it's about a foot deep because of the drift. He walks around in it like nothing. He's fine. So I don't know. He didn't like it a month ago when we had it, but I think he likes it more than the alternative the last couple of days, which was frozen grass on his feet, which just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, no, that's good. There's a picture Oreo sent in the family group text of that Oreo sent. Listen to me.
She's in it now?
Yeah.
Jennifer
Oreo has her own cell phone.
Finally got her one. Yeah.
She's out in this courthouse area, and she's sitting. You can see where she's sitting down on this area, the pavement, whatever, out in there. They got a koi pond fish area. And you can just see her looking where those eyes are kind of like this, just pissed.
Yeah.
I peed. Why are we still here?
He did during the Todd Whitman interview. He was outside for most of it. I mean, he walked around and, got himself some exercise. And then he did not, though. Yesterday, before the snow started yesterday morning, I let him out. And, I stood at the door kind of like this, waiting for, with my head peeking at it and waiting for him to get done. And he just looked at me like, I don't want to, I'll go over here. But I think he felt because it's so slick, you're going to slip on the ice, on the grass, which is not what you ever want to do. It just felt so weird to him. So.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I'm telling you right now, I think that we'll see a little bit of tomorrow morning, maybe that some places that would open at 6 or 7 might perhaps convenience stores, it was packed. It wasn't real long line. They have, usually you go to a convenience store, they got 3 cash registers. There only one person ever works. It was people coming in and out, getting water. Saw a guy get a couple of 12 packs of cold ones, packs of chips, whatever. I was going to go get some firewood. Huh?
You just throw them in the lawn today.
I should have gone. I was thinking about going down to get some firewood, but I got some of those Duraflames. Those things last for 4 hours and put out a nice little heat. So
yeah. Unfortunately, I was supposed to have some trees taken down in the backyard this week. I would have had tons of it, but weather hit before the guy got there, so that's been delayed.
Wow.
But by the way, Smokey, so funny story. I had to go buy some new couch this weekend, and because mine is just worn out. And he wasn't a starter, but I remembered him. The guy who sold me furniture, Midway, he played at Midway back in the Kramer Robertson days. His name was Antonio Dickerson. He played wide receiver and defensive back for Terry Gamble. So,
Oh, so he's doing now. What did he do?
I bought furniture at Home Zone. He sold me furniture.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. All right, tomorrow, we should have our regulars. I don't know. Mac Rhodes will know more about Oklahoma State if we don't hear more about it. They did reschedule the West Virginia game for what was it, Paul? Like the 25th or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right now, Oklahoma State this Saturday still up on the schedule. We'll see what happens there. There's been a couple of games moved from today to tomorrow. There's been a game pushed back. Oklahoma State, I think, are going to play a day later. Or is it Texas and somebody as well? So just keep up with it, and we'll try to get you as much as we can that information as well. All right. So glad we did the show. We're like mailmen, right?
They were off today, though.
Huh?
I didn't get any mail. Did you get any mail?
No, I didn't get any mail either.
Yeah. I don't really care. Like, there's nothing I want that bad.
We're even better than that, and people need to realize how much planning that I put into this today, and technologically how I was able to help Colt and Paul. Armstrong, he's mentally shot. We've lost him. Craig told me he's about to get electricity back, so hopefully that's good news. I hope he does. I really do. That's got to be a bummer, man.
Do you wonder if Armstrong maybe in the past was attacked by a Yeti, which is why this weather has messed him up so much? He's just waiting for the abominable snowman to come back at him.
Yeah, he's just ever since he got his own fan page, things like that. Ever since he started acting like he was not Bigfoot. Some of the things that happened.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks to Bill Brock, Rick Gosselin, Todd Whitman, Seth Payne, Kim Mulkey, Babe Laufenberg, Jason King. Paul, thank you. Colt Barber, I think, was helping along the way as well. It was always nice to hear him from Brian Etheridge. Checked in with us. He's as loyal as anyone can be. Thanks to Ashley. Craig, I think, will be back with us maybe tomorrow. If not, we'll have a show. And for Paul Catalina, for Woodrow, Oreo, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for listening today on SicEm365 Radio.